Hi, I am Debra R. Richardson of Debra R. Richardson LLC, and I work with you to help you clean up your vendor data, clean up your vendor processes so that you pay the right vendor. Now, this week's Vendor Master File tip of the week is IRS Combined Federal State Filing, the CF/SF program. And for tax year 2025, there are two state changes. So let's talk about the combined federal slash state filing program. Now, this program allows users to file with the IRS, and then the IRS will share that information with the applicable states that participate in the program. So every year, you need to check publication 1220, and it usually is published for the first time at some point late September, early October. But publication 1220 will have that grid that identifies the states that are participating for that year. Now, for tax year 2025, there are two changes. Number one, Oregon was added, so Oregon is added. And number two, Missouri is removed. So if you have any vendors where they've done work for you in Missouri, you might need to check that. But you know what? You might need to check all of them anyway. So let's just get started talking about the states. Now, whether or not you have to file in the states or provide a 1099 to a particular state is really based on the state's reportable vendors that performed work in that state, and you need to use the tax address. But let's say you had someone like me come on site to your state and I performed work in your office, then that is reportable. The amount that you paid me is reportable to that state. And if that state is on this list, no problem. You can file with the IRS, the returns with the IRS, and the IRS will share it with the state. But if not, then you need to make sure that you research the state to see what's required. Now, if you withhold on any vendors, you may have to, whether that state participates in the program or not, you may have to file with the state anyway. So you really need to check with the states on an annual basis. You need to check what their due dates are, what their forms are, how to file, and any other requirements that you may have to follow. Now, one thing that I do like to say, because one, no two states are the same, and two, sometimes the IRS gets it wrong. So you do need to make sure that you keep checking with publication 1220. The one that I pulled this grid from was published September 2025, but a couple years back, I remember when they posted this grid for the states that participate, and they in error added a state that was not going to participate until the following tax year. And so they had to publish a revision, and they had to republish, or they had to publish two revisions that year. So I would say keep checking with publication 1220 all the way up to the time that that you need to file. And because of that, that means you need to also keep checking with the states for their reporting requirements. So what I would do is I would identify those vendors that you have paid in tax year 2025, identify what states they exist in, or where states where the payments may be reportable, and just look and identify or document what those requirements are. I used to have a team member do that every year. Now, where can you go to get the links to all of these states for research, for that research? Where you can go and create an account on the Vendor Process Training Center, which is my training center site, and you can get access to the links for all of the revenue sites for each state to do the tax research. Now, bonus to that, you also get the links to each of the state's Secretary of State and to their business entity searches. So I will put a link to that in the description. Now, the other thing that you need to do, right, is to try to find any missing data that you have before you start reporting it to the IRS, and before you start sending, if you send those 1099s out via U.S. mail, you need to make sure that you have the right address, the address is formatted correctly. And so on my YouTube channel, I also have podcasts. And so episode 270 will give you 4 free official resources to find a vendor address. And then episode 262 will give you 3 free ways to obtain your vendor's missing tax ID. And both of these, right, in time for 1099's fourth quarter. Best time to start making sure your vendor data is correct. All right, so that is it for today. It was a slightly longer one, but you know what? It is time to get your data ready for tax filing season. So if you like more information on how to improve your vendor process, then make sure you check out DebraRRichardson.com for free tools and resources to avoid fraud, regulatory fines, and just overall bad vendor data. Now, if you'd like over 115 annual hours, and you know what? It's probably over 178 now because I just keep adding training. But if you like annual training hours for your vendor team, check out the Vendor Process Training Center at training.DebraRRichardson.com. So good luck, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified next Tuesday for the next Vendor Master File tip of the week.